far out on the vast African savannas, where tall grasses ripple under the wind and the horizon stretches endlessly beneath the blazing sun, lives one of the most misunderstood animals of the wild. At first glance, the warthog hardly looks like a survivor. Its body is bulky and rough, its skin wrinkled and scarred, and its face carries thick bumps that resemble strange growths. Long curved tusks rise from its mouth, and a stiff mane of coarse hair runs along its back like an untamed brush. To many observers, the warthog appears awkward, even comical. Yet in the unforgiving wilderness of Africa, appearance means little. Survival belongs to those who adapt, endure, and fight when necessary. And the warthog, despite its odd looks, is one of the savanna's most resilient survivors. Imagine an animal so ugly it makes hyenas look handsome, so tough it fights lions with its face, and so fearless it backs into burrows ready to stab anything that follows. Everything you thought you knew about Pumbaa from The Lion King? Forget it. The real warthog is a four-legged fortress with anger management issues and zero intention of being anyone's lunch. What if I told you that warthogs have killed lions? That they've gored leopards to death? That cheetahs actively avoid them? That even hyena clans think twice before attacking? This isn't some majestic predator. This is nature's ultimate underdog. Ugly, stubborn, and absolutely savage when cornered. The warthog, known scientifically as Phacocheirus africanus, is a member of the pig family and is found across large parts of sub-Saharan Africa. From the open grasslands of East Africa to the dry savannas of the South, these animals have carved out a life in landscapes filled with danger. Their bodies are surprisingly powerful for their size. Adult warthogs can weigh between 50 and 150 kilograms and stand around 65 to 85 centimeters tall at the shoulder. Males, known as boars, are often heavier and more heavily armed than females. But what truly sets them apart are the tusks that curve upward from their jaws. These tusks are not merely decorative. They are weapons, tools of survival forged through thousands of years of evolution. A warthog actually carries two pairs of tusks. The upper tusks are the larger ones, often growing up to 60 centimeters in length in mature males. They curve outward and upward like polished blades, constantly sharpened through daily wear. Beneath them are the lower tusks, shorter but much sharper. These lower tusks are the true cutting tools, capable of delivering dangerous wounds in close combat. When threatened, a warthog can slash its head upward with surprising speed, turning its tusks into lethal blades. Despite these formidable defenses, warthogs are not aggressive animals by nature. Most of the time, they live quiet lives focused on feeding, raising their young, and avoiding danger. Warthogs are highly social animals and usually live in small family groups known as sounders. A typical sounder includes a female, called a sow, and her piglets, along with sometimes the offspring from a previous season. Adult males, on the other hand, tend to live alone or in loose bachelor groups, joining females only during the breeding season. The daily life of a warthog begins at dawn. As the first golden light spreads across the savanna, the warthog family slowly emerges from its underground shelter. Unlike many burrowing animals, warthogs cannot dig their own burrows. Instead, they rely on abandoned burrows created by aardvarks. These underground tunnels provide protection from predators and relief from the intense African heat. But warthogs use these burrows in a clever and unusual way. When they enter, they back and tail first. This positioning ensures that their tusks face the entrance, ready to defend the narrow passage against any predator foolish enough to follow them inside. Once out in the open, the warthogs begin their search for food. They are primarily grazers, feeding mostly on short grasses that grow across the plains. Their bodies are uniquely adapted for this style of feeding. Because their legs are long compared to the length of their necks, warthogs kneel on their front knees while eating. Thick calluses protect their knees as they shuffle forward across the ground, grazing steadily like small living lawn mowers. Along with grass, warthogs also eat roots, berries, bark, and occasionally insects or even carrion if the opportunity arises. As the sun climbs higher and the heat of midday begins to build, warthogs often seek relief in muddy pools. Mud bathing serves an important purpose. Warthogs cannot sweat effectively, so the cool mud helps regulate their body temperature. The mud also forms a protective layer that shields their skin from parasites and the intense rays of the African sun. After leaving the mud hole, warthogs often rub themselves against trees or rocks, scraping off dried mud and scratching their thick skin. Throughout the day, the warthog family remains alert. The savanna is filled with predators, and danger can appear without warning. Lions, leopards, hyenas, wild dogs, crocodiles, and even large eagles may see a warthog as a potential meal. For this reason, warthogs rely on sharp awareness and teamwork. While some members of the group feed, others lift their heads frequently, scanning the grasslands for movement. If a threat is detected, the reaction is immediate. A sharp snort or grunt signals alarm, and the entire group bolts toward the nearest burrow at surprising speed. Despite their stocky appearance, warthogs are capable runners. They can sprint up to 50 kilometers per hour, their thin tails held upright like small flags as they race through the grass. The raised tail helps family members follow one another in tall vegetation, ensuring that even the youngest piglets can find their way to safety. Yet warthogs cannot always outrun danger. The African wilderness is unpredictable, and even the most alert animals sometimes find themselves caught off guard. A lion may emerge suddenly from tall grass. A leopard may launch an ambush from a nearby tree, or a pack of predators may approach silently from multiple directions. In such moments, the warthog's usual strategy of escape is no longer possible. The distance to the nearest burrow may be too great, or the predator may already be within striking range. When the path to safety disappears, the warthog reveals a completely different side of its nature. What once seemed like a clumsy and awkward animal suddenly transforms into a determined fighter prepared to defend itself at any cost. When cornered, a warthog becomes a surprisingly dangerous opponent. Its posture changes instantly. The animal lowers its head, stiffens its body, and points its sharp tusks directly toward the threat. Its small eyes lock onto the approaching predator, and its muscles tense with readiness. If the attacker comes closer, the warthog may suddenly launch forward in a powerful charge. In a split second, it swings its head upward with tremendous force, using its curved tusks like sharp blades. The motion is fast, violent, and often unexpected. A predator that misjudges the attack can receive deep, slashing wounds across the chest, legs, or belly. Even experienced hunters learn quickly that a desperate warthog can inflict serious injuries. For many predators, a hunt is not worth the risk if it means leaving the encounter wounded and unable to hunt again. Among the predators that challenge warthogs, lions stand at the top of the hierarchy. The mighty hunters of the African savanna are powerful enough to bring down animals far larger than a warthog. Yet, even lions approach these animals carefully. Lions rely on stealth and surprise, stalking through tall grass or shadows until they're close enough to launch a sudden attack. Their goal is to close the distance quickly before the prey has time to react. But warthogs are constantly alert, and if they spot danger early enough, they immediately sprint toward the safety of a burrow. If the warthog manages to reach that narrow entrance, the hunt usually ends right there. Lions rarely attempt to follow a warthog underground, where the confined space favors the tusk defender. Inside the burrow, the warthog backs in and faces outward, presenting its sharp tusks toward the entrance like a living barricade. For a lion, squeezing into a dark tunnel to confront a wounded and desperate animal armed with sharp weapons is simply too dangerous. In the wild, even the most powerful predator must weigh risk against reward, and often, the warthog proves to be a meal not worth the injury. Leopards, known for their stealth and agility, also target warthogs. A leopard often attacks by leaping from cover and attempting to bite the back of the neck. But if the warthog manages to spin and face its attacker, the fight can turn dangerous. A well-placed tusk slash can open deep wounds in a predator's body, forcing it to retreat. Cheetahs, the fastest animals on land, generally avoid adult warthogs altogether. Although a cheetah can accelerate to incredible speeds and outrun almost any animal on the savanna, its hunting strategy depends almost entirely on speed and precision rather than brute strength. A cheetah's body is built for explosive chases, not for prolonged fights. Their bones are lighter, their jaws are weaker than those of lions or hyenas, and their survival depends on staying healthy enough to run again the next day. Because of this, even a small injury can be devastating. A torn muscle, a broken limb, or a deep wound from tusk could prevent a cheetah from hunting effectively. And without the ability to hunt, starvation can follow quickly. Adult warthogs present exactly the kind of dangerous risk. Their bodies are strong, their skin is thick, and their tusks can deliver painful slashes in close combat. As a result, cheetahs usually prefer safer targets, such as gazelles, impalas, or other smaller animals that can be chased down quickly without a violent struggle. On rare occasions, a cheetah may attempt to capture a very young warthog piglet if it becomes separated from its mother, but a healthy adult warthog is almost always left alone. Even packs of hyenas or African wild dogs sometimes hesitate before attacking a healthy adult warthog. Both of these predators rely heavily on teamwork and coordination during hunts. By working together, they can bring down prey that would be far too strong for a single hunter to handle. Hyenas possess incredibly powerful jaws capable of crushing bone, while wild dogs are known for their relentless endurance and high hunting success rates. Yet despite their advantages, a warthog is still a challenging opponent. Its sharp tusks, strong neck muscles, and fearless defense make every encounter unpredictable. When threatened, a warthog will often turn to face its attackers rather than flee blindly, slashing its tusks toward any predator that comes too close. In a chaotic struggle, a single well-placed tusk strike could injure one of the attackers, and in the wild, injury can mean death. For social predators like hyenas and wild dogs, every member of the group is valuable to the survival of the pack. Losing or disabling a hunter weakens the entire group. Because of this, predators often prefer to target younger, weaker, or isolated animals rather than risk confronting a fully grown warthog ready to defend itself. Perhaps the most fearless warthogs of all are mothers protecting their young. A sow with piglets can become extraordinarily aggressive if her babies are threatened. She will place herself between danger and her offspring, charging predators and slashing with her tusks. Many predators have learned the hard way that a warthog mother is not easy prey. Despite the dangers they face, warthogs have managed to thrive across Africa. Their adaptability plays a major role in their success. They can live in dry savannas, open grasslands, and lightly wooded areas, as long as water and burrows are available. Their ability to remember the locations of multiple burrows across their territory ensures that they are rarely far from shelter. Over thousands of years, warthogs have become experts at balancing caution with courage. They know when to flee, when to hide, and when to stand their ground. This balance is the secret behind their survival. As the sun begins to sink toward the horizon and long shadows stretch across the savanna, the warthog family slowly returns to its burrow. One by one, they back into the narrow entrance, tusks facing outward, ready to defend their underground refuge through the night. Above them, the African wilderness continues its endless cycle of life. Predators hunting, insects buzzing in the twilight air, and distant calls echoing across the plains. The warthog may never be the most beautiful creature of the savanna. It may not carry the majesty of the lion or the elegance of the antelope. Yet in its own rugged way, the warthog represents something equally powerful: resilience. A creature that survives through intelligence, determination, and an unbreakable will to live. And as darkness settles over the African landscape, the warthog rests beneath the earth, waiting for the next dawn, ready once again to face the wild world above.